realized that sometimes you really do have to just stop and smell the flowers. So, I sort of bought an island. No phones, no work. We grow our own food. I wear the same thing every day. I have chickens. Look, I'm just trying to do better. I don't know how else to say that I'm sorry. Because I am sorry. I really am. I'm sorry. But I've said those words so many times that they've lost meaning.
I need a fucking vacation.
I was 21 years old when I found myself on the front stoop of the Playboy mansion on October 31st, 2008, with a whole busload of other young women, all of us vibrating with excitement, nervousness, and anticipation. Trick-or-treaters hoping for the sweetest reward. That ornate front door looked like the doorway to success, a place that could make all of our dreams come true. What most of us did not know was that inside, it was a maze.
Okay! Everybody say, making memories! Making memories! Woo!
But because the film is about memory, you know, I wanted it to be sensory. And it's not about what's real or, you know, it's about the things that you remember and those things and how they stick in your mind.
Let's get the wine. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Get the wine out. Let's go.
Wake up! Wake up! Wake up!
Can't you feel it? There's something wrong with this place.
So do you think the human sacrifice is before or after dinner?
Needs it.
You want one?
No, I don't eat red meat.
Oh, sorry.
Do we have a deal, Mr. Reagan?
You know, I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious. After 9 years, you know what I realize? Ignorance is bliss.
It's okay. You're just remembering. But I didn't want to remember!
The 37-year-old takes us inside the Playboy mansion where she lived with one of the most influential and controversial men of the 20th century. The memoir is called Only Say Good Things.
Don't forget to smile, ladies.
I want to go home. Okay, let's not go crazy. Just everybody's like smiling and laughing, like 1960s fucking flight attendants. Like, are you having a good time? I'm like, yeah, I'm having a great time. I'm scared.
Oh, Mr. Anderson.
What are we gonna do about you? What are we gonna do? That's gonna scar.
You having a good time?
I'm having a great time here. But I also have this feeling that I'm like not. Women have been taught to compete against each other, right? When really we should be helping, supporting each other. So it would be nice to start like this program thing where like teach women survival skills. And I know that sounds stupid and totally degrading, but I learned some really useful shit.
And the truth is that you never know when you're gonna be stuck in the middle of nowhere, like a totally terrifying situation with no one to save you, no one to even hear you scream, and you need to fight for your fucking life.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So we good?
So you did, though, return to the mansion.
Yes, I did.
And even though you went back, you wrote that you went back more empowered.
Yes, I was gone for a year. Hef's secretary, Mary, said that Hef hasn't been the same and he missed me. And my life outside the mansion, I just felt like I was failing, and the mansion was where I belonged. So I went back, and I think because I had left Hef initially, he respected me more when I got back. I'd like to hope so.
So you saw a change in him when you got back?
Yeah, a bit of a change, and I hope to, I like to think that in his later years, like he learned some lessons.
Had he when you got back?
What?
Like my man and me. My man and me.
It's complicated. It's not. Stop giving away your power. You're not a human phone charger. Just have some self-respect.
Welcome to the real world.
What's up? What's going on? Welcome to my video. Today I'll be talking about Blink Twice. This movie is not like the typical movie that I go watch. So if you are familiar with my page, you know that, I don't, talk about stuff like when it comes to like feminism or, women in particular. I try to stick to, talking about myself as a guy and the Bible and stuff like that. But things kind of like took a twist, and I just want to, talk about it because I think Blink Twice was a great movie. For those, who's new, understand that, the way I do things is I try to like get to the genesis of things, or get to the origins of why I'm making the video, or how did I get to the point where I got. So when it comes to Blink Twice, so last year I was at a movie theater and I seen the preview. And when I first seen it, the first thing that stood out was like Channing Tatum and just the whole, women, I guess kind of like women liberation. That's the first thing I thought about. I thought about, what's the name of them? Magic Mike. So, just off top, I was like, that's probably not a movie I'm going to watch, because, I don't care about stuff like that, That's not, I don't think movies like that are, geared towards men. So I was like, I just kind of like brushed it off or whatever. But later on, I got an Amazon account, and I be on Amazon, the commercial comes on. So that, Amazon keep flooding these ads on us and stuff like that now. So Blink Twice came on again. I think I've seen it a couple of times. And it started to gain my interest a little bit more because it was a thriller. And I love thrillers. Like I love any type of movie that can like get you on your feet and just really like, get you going or whatever. So I thought about it. I was like, it might, be straight. I love thrillers or whatever. But then I started thinking about, there was one thriller, Leave the World Behind. I watched that thriller, man, and I hated it, man. Like, I felt like I wasted all that time. It really didn't have no substance to it, to me. The most part I love was the, where he was talking about the signs and, talking to they was that whole Tesla, when the Tesla scene where all the cars was, jamming up or whatever. So, I was like, man, this might be one of those movies right there where, they get you all, going just to, waste your time. So I was like, nah, I probably won't watch it. It's still not getting me to where I feel like I need to watch it. So one day, I'm folding up clothes. I'm always folding up my clothes and stuff. And, normally when I'm folding up my clothes, I watch a movie, put it on something, YouTube or whatever, just to, something I can, watch and fold the clothes all at the same time. So, I get on YouTube, can't find nothing. I get on Netflix, can't find nothing that's striking my interest. Go on Disney, couldn't find nothing. Then I get on Amazon and I see, they blink twice. But, I'm looking all over Amazon, still can't find nothing that I really want to watch. But the blink twice, I was like, maybe, it's they advertising it. Maybe, I'll just go ahead and watch it. In this situation, I'm folding up the clothes. A lot of times you don't want to watch nothing that's too deep to where you got to pay attention. So a lot of times you might watch something that you don't already watch, and you just really listening to it or whatever. But I was like, maybe if it sucks, it is what it is. I was folding up my clothes and it wasn't really no waste of time. It wasn't like I was just sitting here just watching it. So, I went on ahead and gave it a chance. And I was very, very caught off guard, by the movie. And I just want to, just talk about it. I want to talk about some of the things that I liked about the movie. So one of the things that I thought about was just like the uniqueness of the flow. And when I say the uniqueness of the flow, I don't want to just make it seem like I never seen so the one part of just like them having fun, partying, that kind of like girls' night out or hangover type of theme is like, we done seen that, but I personally haven't seen it when it comes to like a thriller. So, for it to, the flow of it, with it being a thriller, like, I think that it was very unique how it, was able to go in that direction. Like, that was kind of like new to me. And I love comedy. So, I love Hangover. I ain't watched Girls Night Out, 'cause I told you. I don't, watch stuff like that. But, I watch movies that's, kind of like have fun, party, stuff like that. Because, I did that back in the days. So I like how it had this party kind of comedy, light kind of theme going to it, but also had the subtle messages in it that, you still like, well, it's something going on, but at the same time, it's still kind of like high-spirited, having fun going. And, it's a thriller, so it's not, I love any thriller that, the stuff is hidden. Like, I grew up where we used to watch movies and try to, figure it out. We watched so many movies that a lot of the movies we did, it was predictable. So I don't like no movie that's going to be predictable. I love to, like, wonder and, try to figure things out. And I feel like it did that. Because when it got to the shot point, I was very, shocked. Like, I was very shocked. Like, it's like knew it was going to happen, but you just didn't. It just caught you totally off guard. You know what I mean? Like, it's a movie that I love that I might get some flack from it because I don't think that it became popular. It was called The Forgotten. And that was one of the movies that you just really caught me off guard to where I was like, man, I love this movie right here. Like, it always stuck with me because, I just always, because I watched so many movies, I just figured, I can figure things out. And that was a movie that I did not see that coming. So, yeah, I feel like Blink Twice brought that thriller theme to the point where, it was something that you can say that whoever directed it did a great job at doing it. And it did, I think what it was, when it comes to like the whole, like I said, it gave you that party theme to the point where you almost felt like you was there, like you was in the same shoes as Frida, and you was vibing just like how they vibing or whatever. So when the shot factor come and she shot, you shot too, like you really like you really into it. And I feel like, man, like for you to how they did it with the movie, like to me that was perfect. Like I said, I never seen a movie like that. Maybe it's some movies out there that I've never seen, but this was my first. Like, so when it comes to like the uniqueness, I love that. To me, that's art. Whenever you can stand out, do something different, and show, your that you can do things. You're not just mimicking everybody else. Like you're bringing something new to the table. Like I love that. So I feel like that what really like brought this movie up to where I was like, yeah, this is a good movie. Also, I love how it incorporated other movies, like the whole scene where it started off where it had the white background. That reminded me of like the Matrix. When Morpheus was talking to Neo. Also, it had the scene where she was asking her, to choose the red dress or the blue dress, same like with the Matrix, the red pill or the blue pill, I also like how, she added like some veteran actors in there, like Gina Davis. Gina Davis was on a League of Their Own, I think. Like I remember that movie, she's a strong, I always looked at her like a strong female. And in this role, she was playing something, a little bit different. Like I almost could barely recognize who she was, which I think that, who she is and the role she's playing, I think it fits very well. Also, they had, let me go ahead and explain that. So I think she fit that role pretty well because she represents a strong female, but in this movie, it's like you can tell she is a strong person, but she got issues or whatever. So it's like I feel like it totally fits. Then you have it's hard. I think it's Haley Joel Osment, and he's the kid from Forrest Gump and The Sixth Sense. Also, of course, you got Channing Tatum. Then you have Christian Slater, from Broken Arrow. So it's like, I love how, the director incorporated, veteran actors in the movie that, I just feel like, and I get into it, but I just feel like it just shows that, you're kind of like paying homage to the movie industry or to people who are fans of movies. It's showing that you're a fan of the movies and you're not just in this just to just create something. Like you're really going in depth to where you add people that's great actors from the past. And then also just incorporate, the type of people they are to the movie, Then also with the whole nosebleed scene and then incorporating, the whole memory theme to the movie, that reminded me of the Butterfly Effect. That's another movie that, that I love. Number one, I never watched number two and number three. So, number one with Ashton Kutcher, Butterfly Effect. I love that movie. That's a great movie. So, like I said, I love stuff like that. To me, it just makes it all like come together. I like when people tie the old with the new instead of just it being old and just old, or new and just, new. Like, you got all new actors in there and there's no old, or you got old actors in there and there's no new. Like, I love when you can mix it all together. And I felt like this movie was able to bring that to the table. I love the characters. I feel like the characters' roles were great, and the actors did an amazing job too. Don't let me forget that. Like, I believe that the actors, did an amazing job with their acting. It's very believable. But I also love the characters. I felt like the characters was relatable. Like, Cody, his role just as a man who has this girl that he likes, but she's not really like paying any attention to him because he's not like, up there. I totally understand that. I done seen this before, whether I was the person that was being played or I was the one that the girl was trying to get at, So it's like when I'm watching it, I was like, this, I done, seen this stuff before. So I love that. Tom Rowe, the whole guy who is being cheated on by his wife, going through that insecurity to where, now he's, I think he was like eating eggs and stuff like that, trying to, look good and stuff like that. I love how they did that because that's like a common thing that you see also, Slater King. Slater King played like the king, the king of manipulation, the leader, normally, in situations like that, man, it'd be, an entitled guy that in this day and time, they see it like this will be like the alpha male, Like I said, it really just be, a guy who's entitled, who had his power, and he uses power, to get certain things, So also the guy Lucas, he would be what you consider like a beta. And I don't use these terms. I'm talking about just what people use in this day and time. So, you had that one guy who want to be just like the guy who's on top, and Lucas kind of like fit that role. So, I love that. I even love the woman, the woman, I done seen like the Camillas, the, hood woman, the down, like the woman that look like she might can fight, you know what I mean? Like, cool, real cool, even dang Heather, the earthy type woman that, care about animals and, all type of stuff like that, cool, strong, play chess and stuff like that, Like, I done seen women like this, Jess, the intuitive down woman, that she was. Like, I feel like all that stuff fit. Even, with Sarah. Sarah was, the competitive one. You know what I mean? Like, very super competitive. Like, her role, her character, I feel like it's someone that I done seen before, And like I said, Frida, same way. Frida was like the kind of like quirky, like ambitious woman that, I hate to like get deep into it because I don't want to give out the movie in case somebody hasn't watched it. But I just feel like they're relatable. I can relate because I done seen these characters before. And I think that that's important. All right. It's important to have these things in movies because it gets to my end point. And that's, is it realistic? At the end of the day, is it realistic? I love watching movies that say based off, a true story or, I feel like those type of movies have like real situations in it that you can relate to. And I feel like this movie had that. I feel like there was a lot of things that was realistic. All right, for instance, like the girls going out with the guys. That right there, I feel like a person could girls find themselves in situations like that all the time. We got these Harvey Weinsteins and the Cosby stuff that you know going on, the Me Too movement that's going on, and this is a everyday situation that's really like going on all the time. So it's like I feel like that part right there is realistic. I feel like the action part, you know, I feel like the action part when it comes to the women, it wasn't too cheesy because a lot of times, you know, when it comes to women, man, like, let's be real, like certain situations a woman ain't gonna be able to just be able to do all that much action when it comes to like, you know, man, I hate if, you know, in a situation where a woman will just like body slam a guy, pick a 400-pound dude up and slam him and stuff like that, being all extra and stuff, you know. I feel like this movie was geared more towards the whole realistic theme. So it need to be realistic. I don't want it to go too far animated. So, you know, I love the fact that they was able to do all that. I feel like everything, even the ending at first, when I saw it, I was like, I don't know. You know, I don't know how to feel about this. This kind of like, to me, it started to feel like it was unrealistic. And I was about to give it a thumbs down on that ending part. But the more and more I thought about it, I was like, man, this is realistic at the end of the day. You know, a lot of women ending is in that situation. You know what I mean? What end up happening. So, you know, I can't say that I disagree with the ending because at the end of the day, you might not like it, but it's real. You know what I mean? Like some situations end that way, you know. Everything don't be peaches and cream when it comes to like justice or, you know, stuff like that. Sometimes you got to do it in another way, you know what I mean? And I also love that too, you know, that's one of the things that I love is that in that scene where they was trying to figure things out, is like it was realistic what they were saying, like it made sense, like how they had to go about it. Because they was in a situation that everybody, you know, might not believe them or whatever. So I just feel like overall, man, amazing job. I didn't even know that Zoe Kravitz was the one that did. I didn't even know who Zoe Kravitz was, to be honest with you. I just, at the end, I seen Kravitz. So the first thing I thought was Lenny Kravitz. So I was like, who is Zoe Kravitz? And then it was like Lenny Kravitz's daughter. And I was like, man, dang, did an amazing job, you know what I mean? And then also, I didn't even know she was the same woman from X-Men First Class, because that's a movie, DVD that I got. I ain't bring it up here, but that's a DVD that I got that I watched, and I liked that movie. And speaking of that movie, Channing Tatum, I feel like that role that he played on this movie, that's another thing, is like, this movie made me look at Channing Tatum in a totally different way. I think that he need to keep going down in this direction. You know, when it comes to that type of role, he showed me the range he got, you know what I mean? Like that ending part, what they call like a monologue that he did at the ending. And he did a great job throughout the whole movie. Like he did an amazing job. But to me, it gave me like James McAvoy type of vibes. I've been really liking James McAvoy in the direction he be going with Split, Glass, and Speak No Evil. Those 3 movies, man, I really love how he like acted. Like he does an amazing job playing those roles, and I feel like Channing Tatum showed that he can do the same thing. He did a amazing job. Like I said, I totally look at him different. I look forward to seeing him do something more versus those like Magic Mike, because like I said, that Magic Mike, I was not watching anything that had Channing Tatum in it and had women in it, because I was like, oh, this is one of those type of movies or whatever. But yeah, man, amazing job. Shout out to Zoe. I think Zoe did an amazing job. I think that she has made me really see her to the point where if she make another movie, I'm probably gonna watch it. because she really showed that she is a real director. She can make good movies, real good authentic movies that, like I said, that can, last for a long time. So I got a lot of respect for her. I got a lot of respect for these actors. I really, was paying attention, and amazing job. Like, did so good that I bought the movie. Man. Anytime that I buy it straight off bat, that means I just really feel like this is gonna be a movie that people talk about in the future. It brings a lot of awareness to real situations that I just feel like, you know what I just thought about? So it reminds me, so I love comedy. I love like comedy like Dave Chappelle, South Park, stuff like that, where they're able to do comedy but also bring awareness to stuff. And I feel like Zoe did that, but she did this also as a thriller. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like that's why I really like, I just thought about this. That's why I think I really love this movie. Is because, she brought the comedy, she brought the awareness, but she also brought like this like thriller like type thing to it, which just, to me, I just feel like it's a great movie. Shout out to Zoe. I hope she can, do a part 2 to this, but like I said, this movie had me thinking. It made me think about the Harvey Weinstein and the Bill Cosby, and the recently right now is the Diddy. The Diddy stuff. I really didn't want to pay it. I really don't. I done got to the point where I don't really care about that stuff no more. Because I do feel like, come on, like the stuff they talking about is stuff that always been going on. Like, I feel like the whole surprise of it all is not a surprise. You know what I mean? A lot of people, get so caught up in these situations where they think that, Diddy is just this person that, just doing all this stuff and, just making it a big deal. You know what I mean? When I really do feel like what people was talking about, because I heard it first when it came to Bill Cosby, is like, it may be something bigger to it. The reason why they saying something now, because they ain't, this ain't something new. Like, there's always been trafficking and prostitution and hookers and all this stuff, like parties and all this stuff that, you know what I mean? Like, all this stuff been going on. What's the difference now? Why is y'all just not saying something about this? So I don't get myself caught up with it, especially how people try to, make it to where, they talking about the baby oil and stuff, all the extra stuff. And, I'm big on spirituality. Like, I know that there's always that person that's the scapegoat or whatever. There's somebody bigger that's not being seen, that's in the midst of it all. So, I always look towards that, like, what's the bigger picture? You know what I mean? So it got me thinking. I was like, who are they not talking about? Who was a person that was really out there? The lifestyle that P. Diddy is having and doing, who was like really out there that they ain't even talking about? Because P. Diddy been doing this stuff, you know what I mean? So, like, who are they not talking about? So it made me think about Hugh Hefner in Playboy. Hugh Hefner was like, this was his thing. Hugh Hefner had a mansion, and he had women staying in the mansion and parties all the time that everybody used to talk about, like outrageous parties, like, you know what I mean? To me, that was like sex parties when they talk about stuff like that, or they talk about Diddy having. Like, that's where I thought about is Hugh Hefner. And that wasn't something that people looked at as dark. Like, people praised that. People was trying to be that. I grew up on that type of stuff. Like, because it influenced hip hop. And I was a person that was into hip hop. So I always, was like, I grew up thinking like it was cool to have different girls and many girls, as you can, and like be a playboy pretty much, you know what I mean? Because it was the thing that we was taught to be. So I was like, man, I wonder, whatever happened to him with this whole Me Too movement. Why ain't nobody saying nothing, about him? I wonder, is he still alive? I don't even know if he's still alive or not. So I went to researching. So I researched, looked, you know what I'm saying, saw that he passed away. So I was, scrolling, Google was telling me stuff. He was married. Then it showed that, his wife had a book, Surviving, Playboy Mansion. And I was like, damn, I ain't even, know that, all this stuff was going on. Because even though I'm not, because I done went through my little spiritual journey where I'm not really in tune with everything that's going on. So if anything get to me, that means that it's been blown up. It's a serious thing. So to me, I feel like the Hugh Hefner thing, and I might be wrong, for some people, it might have been a big thing when he passed away or when the stuff came out. But to me, it wasn't blown up like how the Diddy and the Bill Cosby thing was blown up. It was kind of like, to me, was under the radar to the point where I had to go search this stuff, versus all this stuff come to me, people at my job that don't have nothing to do with none of that stuff talking about it. You know what I mean? Like white people that don't even really listen to hip hop like that, they're talking about Diddy and stuff like that. So it's like, I was like, okay, let me, research this stuff up and see what's going on. So I looked, saw it, and something just was telling me that let me check out this book. Let me check out this book because one, I love the title, Only Say Good Things. That off top, I feel like was something that caught my attention because when it comes to like manipulation and, just universal, people do like hide things and want you to say good things, when they're hiding things. They don't want you to say nothing bad. They want you to be fake and just smile and just, you know what I mean? So I felt like she was on to something when she said that. So I went ahead and checked out the book. And I did the audio book, and man, that audio book, man, I was just shocked, how good the book was, the story was. Like she was very authentic, real, and I'ma just, here go the book right here. I ended up buying the book. You see, I got my notes in it and everything. So, I want to talk about some stuff in this book, bring up some stuff. It says, an afflicting look at the culture of misogyny within the Playboy Mansion, a rare window into Hugh Hefner's final years in a one woman's journey to reclaim her identity. All right. So one of the things that she brought up was Playboy was an empire. And that's facts. I do feel like Playboy was an empire, and I didn't even know it was as big as it was. But it's like that right there was the banner to some of this, characters that we see today that are men who are, so Playboy got the name Playboy. Like feminism, I always see the F boys and stuff like that. They always say F boys. Like, I feel like this is the Playboy Mansion is what caused that, you know what I mean? Because like I said, I grew up with that mentality that, this is how you're supposed to be a man, which is not true at all. So I do feel like Playboy was an empire. Even he said it. When you do your research, he done said it. Everybody said it was an empire, right? So that's what we really need to be talking about. Not no P. Diddy and nothing like that. Like, we need to be talking about the ones that was up top who promoted this stuff. So so in this part right here, it said that the Playboy Bunny logo is more recognized than Coca-Cola. which is huge. If you know how big Coca-Cola is, for that to be, true, like that's, and we're not talking about Playboy like that, like that's crazy. But she goes into her teenage years and stuff like that. She talk about things like, not having confidence. I think that's something that women deal with, that find themselves in situations like this where you lack confidence. So she get into that, how she lacked the confidence, and she get into some raw stuff. Like, I ain't gonna say exactly what she said because I want you to get the book and try to read it yourself. But the stuff she get into, what I like about it is that it's not something that you're gonna glorify her about or make her seem like she just this, she was just so popular and so, you know what I mean? Like, she made the right choices. Like, it's some crazy stuff. Like, the Bible. I love the Bible. Got it right here on my shirt. I love the Bible. It's something on my page that I talk about. I talk about my journey to Christ and all that. But I love the Bible because of how authentic it is. Like, it don't hold back. Like, and people really don't be knowing that because they really don't read the Bible. They just look at the positive stuff. Anybody that just talk about the positive stuff, like, they're not in tune with the whole Bible. Because the Bible, like, there's a part in the Bible where it talks about a man chopping up his woman and passing it to to the different tribes. Like, that's some raw stuff, you know what I mean? That you really don't never see. So I just love the fact that, she was raw with her stuff. She talked about things that, shoot, I don't know, if I might can even talk about stuff like that. But she gets into that. Like, she's like an open book, man, which I respect. That she just, you know what I mean? She put that stuff out there because I do feel like there's a lot of women that might can relate to this stuff. And I done talk to, and that's the thing about it, I done talk to women. Like, I talk to a lot of women and they share their stories and stuff like that. So, a lot of stuff is common to where it's like, what she's saying, I feel like it's true. She ain't really lying about, what she's talking about. So it's like, I feel like it's real. And guess what? She also talks about how Hugh Hefner had baby oil all over the mansion.
Baby oil? I have a big thing.
Did Johnson's ever, give you some money and say thank you for what you've done to the baby? Because you must have gone through the Atlantic Ocean of baby oil. Lots of baby oil. There's 3 more bottles of that stuff.
Busy.
She goes into say that, but nothing could break the spell for me. Not the crappy cardboard decorations, not the stack of Playboy magazines and bottles of baby oil strategically placed throughout the ornate house we just toured. And you have to excuse me because, man, you know how I am. If you know me, the words begin me. All right, but yeah, when it comes to the baby oil, man, come on. Like, he been doing that way before Diddy. You know what I mean? Diddy probably got it from him. So we can't just sit up here and just point the blame at Diddy when Hugh Hefner been doing this stuff. Also, she get into the whole, her whole mentality of the desperate to please, which is definitely something common that you have to address when you're a kind-hearted person. You have this way of trying to please others, and that's kind of like the reason why she kind of like found herself in that situation. Is that not find herself in that situation, but find herself stuck in that situation. Because, you're trying to please people and you don't want to make no one mad. Only say good things, you know what I mean? So it's like you find yourself stuck in situations because you're not he don't want to ruffle no feathers or whatever. So I feel like that was real, that she go deep into. She get deep into the whole camera action. How, he used to have the camera and like the video things and take pictures and stuff like that. Just like, blink twice. The dang, look at it. He taking a picture right now. It's like that's a real thing. That's a real thing that goes on that goes on, in real life, where pictures are taken. They even said that about Diddy, that he had pictures and stuff like that and videos and stuff. So it's like I feel like that was real. That she brought up about, the whole taking the pictures and stuff like that. And let you know how people like that do, She also get into like the old movies, how they psychologically get us to, be, basically how they what they portraying, like the Disney movies where you have like the man saving the princess and stuff like that, or just overall a man saving a woman, or it seemed like the woman need to be saved. Like she get into how Hugh Hefner always was watching movies like that because that was his mentality, and that's probably the reason why he was the way he was, is because he always thought that woman needed to be saved. And or he probably loved that. He loved that, that idea. He loved to save woman. He loved the idea of woman wanting him to save them. All right. That's the reason why he had so many women at the mansion, because he probably felt like he was saving them. So she talks about that. She talks about a few other things about being dehumanized in front of the public. She talks about no, the power of saying no. That goes back to the people pleasing. She didn't know that no was so powerful, which even with myself, I try to be a nice person. And that'd be the thing. You try to be a nice person, but, you have to learn how to say no, And she gets into that, how she had to learn that, saying no is okay. And this right here caught me by surprise. This was some deep stuff, and I had to research and to make sure that she didn't copy it from nobody, or whoever helped her write this book, they didn't copy it, which I don't believe. I didn't see it, but it says that power is insidious when it masks itself as generosity. And generosity is insidious when it's a camouflage for control. And both power and generosity are confusing when they gaslight you into believing they could be loved. And that's a powerful statement, a very powerful statement. I ain't even gonna get deep into that because that was already deep, and I think that was the theme that Blink Twice was going for too, where, they were using the guy, his charm and stuff like that to woo women in. So, also talks about trying to step into being independent. So I feel like that part right there, I just feel like if a woman was to read this book, it can help her figure things out, because that's real. You do need to step into being independent, Now, I will say this, that, independency is, having that confidence within yourself and not confidence in someone else. So, I know a lot of people, they think about how the movement of women, whole being independent, I don't need no man, how it can get to the point where women just feel like they just don't need no man at all and they hate man and stuff like that. I know people think about that. Even I think about that. But there is some type of, independency that is needed by women to where they have that self-confidence and are able to do certain things. She also talked about her feeling that, she left one person and went to the next guy doing the same thing. So it's like, she tell you her failures. Talked about susceptible to being wanted. That's another thing. Because sometimes you doing things for people and people making you feel like you're wanted is a common thing that, happens. It's a cycle. You want people to want you, do these nice things because you want people to want you and like you and stuff like that. You're afraid of being hated or people not liking you, not being a part of the circle and stuff like that. She get into that. And like I said, this is not just a woman thing. This is for human beings, period. You know what I mean? So a man can learn from this just as well as women. So these are some good pointers or lessons learned that she puts in this book that I feel like is great. She talks about listening to her inner voice, which is another good thing. That's the whole independent thing. She talk about being like shallow, how she, thought that it was all about, appearance. Just like how it was with him, where he just cared about appearance and not the inner person. And I mean, like I said, that what I notice is like a lot of women who find themselves in this situation, they end up they be like models, people that are getting things by their looks. I think that that's a key point that we need to address, is that these women have to be more than just beauty. You know what I mean? Beauty is vain, like the Bible says. So, they gotta have a mindset a little bit deeper to where they don't fall into situations like that, where they find themselves, shallow and, lack confidence, and be in situations like how she was at the mansion. She also brought up how a little girl wanted to be a Playboy bunny. She brings that up and how that image that the empire of Playboy had, to where it had women desiring to be just that and nothing else. So you have to be careful. Like, it's no different than like with this little girl wanting to be a Playboy bunny. When we was young, we grew up wanting to be like Hugh Hefner, because it seemed like he had all the girls and stuff like that, and everybody liked him. So it's like, I do feel like the Playboy Mansion or the Playboy Empire had a huge influence where we do need to talk about this. But I want to bring something up that she said. It says, "I stared at my face. There is no fear or worry.
One of the most powerful men in the world has his arm around me. So I feel powerful and beautiful and special. In the picture, I am beaming at the camera. Staring at the picture, I didn't want to yell at my younger self and tell her to run. I have compassion for her. But I think maybe she needs to go through everything that's to come so she can emerge stronger."
I think that that's so true. And it's a lesson that a lot of people don't understand. A lot of times we are dealing with pain and struggle and stuff that we went through, regret, resentment, all that. But we don't realize all that stuff happens for a reason. And that's to make you stronger. That is to build you, to make you resilient, to make you someone that's not just like some like bubble boy that ain't been through nothing. Like, you got to be tried. You got to go through something. There was something that I always thought about, and it's because I read that Job story in the Bible. where he allowed the devil to come in and do those things to Job. And my question was, why would he do that? And in fact, why would God allow the devil to be around? If he's God, why don't he just, wipe away the devil and then everything will be fine? But the thing about it is there's some use to all that. You know what I mean? There's some use to the devil being around. There's some use to tragedy and chaos and stuff like that because, people can emerge stronger through that. That's part of life. Don't let nobody tell you that's not part of life because it is. It is a part of life. You can't avoid it at all. So we all think about like what she was saying, that it's a common thing that people will like, if I was to tell I'd tell my younger self to, you know what I mean? No, you have to go through all that stuff. You know what I mean? You need to go through all that stuff. And, as parents, we do that. We don't want to see our kids struggle. We don't want our kids to go through anything. So we try to avoid every situation when, no, you don't. That's not how it is. You got to let your kids go through stuff. If you came out of it and you became strong and a better person, your character strong, it's because you went through what you went through. So you at least need to let your children go through the same thing. Some people don't go through nothing, and that's the reason why they, be the way they is. And also, we see that, some people don't make it. Some people, they can't deal with it, and unfortunately that's just part of it too. Some people, they never find themselves getting out of it. They be destroyed by it. And, it's a sad thing, but that's just part of life. So, I have a whole lot of respect for Crystal with what she was talking about in this book. I also, when I was doing my research, I seen a lot of people hating on her and talking about her and stuff like that, which, after reading the book, I really don't feel the same way they feel. I feel like she's a real person, what she was talking about, some real stuff. Even if she didn't write this book, the fact that all this stuff came out of this book, it's A1. You can't deny the facts that's in his books. So, shout out to her. Great job. Some people may be wondering, how do they relate? Of course, if you're not understanding how, I will break that down to you. So, one of the things when it comes to similarities is they're both dealing with trauma, right? They're both dealing with woman being the lead role, and in the book she talks about her upbringing, and in the movie it talks about the upbringing, with Frida. It was brief, but she talked about her mom, and likewise Chris talked about her mom. And I truly believe, like in generational curses, how if your parents go through something and they don't overcome it, you're bound to fall. Not all the time, but majority of the time, you find yourself in the same situation. And with that being said, hopefully Zoe can make a part 2, breaking that down about the story of Frida and her mom. Also, when it comes to the parties, so this goes from the book to the movie to even real life. So in the movie, they was at the gala party. They was having fun, and that's what set them up to go to the island. The island was the after party. How it is, you don't want the party to end. So that's how the movie went. For Crystal's situation, she went to the Halloween party at the mansion, and then she found herself staying at the mansion because she had that high feeling, and she didn't want it to go away. And likewise, like I done, when back in the days when I used to go clubbing, you used to go clubbing or go different parties and stuff. And then you had an after party where it'd be you and the guys and then some girls and y'all go somewhere and then y'all keep having more fun or whatever. Cause you don't want it to end. It's like a drug, You get high off you get this high and you don't want that high to go down or whatever. So it's like, I do feel like, Crystal situation is a little bit different. She went to a Halloween party that Hugh Hefner them threw every year, and a lot of women are chose through that. They said that after them parties, he choose a woman to stay or try to get to stay. And likewise, at the Blink Twice, that's pretty much how the woman was chosen. At that party, they have fun with these women, and then they go to the island after that. That's how it all comes about. And likewise, same with, like me growing up. We used to go to parties and then have the after party with the women, and, that's just how it is. So I feel like that what brings it all together. Well, I was talking about it being realistic and, with this book and why I'm reading this book and watching the movie. Another thing was it goes into she goes into like needing this being codependent, not being independent but codependent. Frida was the same way. I will bring this up, in the movie in the beginning, where she was like staying with her friend. Like you can tell like she wasn't on her own. And even when it came to like paying rent, she wasn't even trying to pay rent. She was like real, like not responsible. Like she spent her rent money on buying like dresses for a party. So it's like, anytime a woman find herself in that situation, 9 times out of 10, that's probably the reason why is because, you had this codependency where, now you need to be with someone, if it's not a girl, you with this woman. I mean, if you're not with a woman, you go with this man who you feel like can just solve everything for you or whatever. So it's like, I feel like those come together to where, Crystal was talking about, she bring insight into the movie when it comes to Frida's situation. And like I said, this is a human thing. Men do it too. I've seen men that be codependent that stays with a woman or have to stay with a woman because they can't be on their own. And then also the person who like Hefner and Slater, they enjoy that. They love being the savior, feeling like they're a savior who are attracted to codependent people. That's why I believe that, and I think Zoe was on to. I think Zoe. That's what Zoe was showing, is that Sarah was also trying to get at Slater, but Slater was more into Frida because Frida was the one that was kind of like needed to be saved, where Sarah was a little bit more independent, kind of like female, where she did everything. She didn't need to be saved like that. You know what I mean? Her situation was a little bit different. I think that that's, something that, that needs to be talked about. Like I said, Hugh Hefner, it seemed like that's what he was doing. He was getting these younger women that was like 19 to 24 who was like innocent and needed to be saved or groomed and stuff like that. I feel like they all tie in together. They all tie into, reality that, people go through on a day-to-day basis. That's the reason why I think that Blink Twice is going to be a timeless movie, and I think that this book is going to be timeless, And I hope that, if you're watching and you ain't read this book, you go read the book if you think that it's something that you should read, or even the movie, because these are great great pieces that, you know, I'm happy to be able to purchase and support, and also, you know, go deep into it and learn all about it, you know. And I'm going to do another video where we can talk about this interview that Hugh Hefner did back in the days with these two feminists. So yeah, man, I look forward to, you know, doing that video, and I hope you take the time to go watch it after this one. And I appreciate your time. I know I, you know, sat and talked for a long time. You know, dang, going on an hour. Oof. So, oh man, it's past an hour, maybe. I don't know. It look like it, but man, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you taking the time to listen, and check out my other videos, man. You know, if you feel like it's something you want to watch, man, where I talk about my life like a book and how I came to Christ to, you know, come to that peace of mind, go check it out. And I got other movie book reviews and stuff like that I talk about. So make sure you take the time to take it out, man. Appreciate you. And as always, man, I love you. That's it, man. Love you. All right.